Welcome to Thrive and Rise with Tiffany, where transformation meets purpose and self-discovery leads to impact. Today we're going to talk breaking barriers, leading with purpose, and empowering the next generation with our special guest, LaShawn English, Director of UAW Region 1. Let's rise together. Before we jump in, do me a quick favor. If this podcast inspires you, hit the subscribe button, like, and share with someone you love. Let's spread the movement and grow together. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out the Know Thyself book series designed to help you heal, grow, and lead with purpose. This is more than a series, it's a journey back to you. LaShawn, let's dive in.
Okay, let's dive in.
Your journey is truly groundbreaking. From the trades to becoming the first African American woman or woman of color to serve as the director of UAW Region 1. Can you walk us through the pivotal moments that led you to this historic role?
So, you know what really led me to this pivotal role, as you stated? I'm going to start back a little further before I got this role, because you always got to start a little bit further, sometimes at the beginning. I can't say the beginning. But I started skilled trades in the building trades. That means that I didn't go to inside the plant. I actually worked construction. I was the person building hospitals, airports, and stuff like that, different things. But I'm from Flint, and I'm actually a union baby. My mother, father, grandmother, almost everybody in my family worked in the big three in a union shop. But at the beginning, I didn't really. I started. I went to college, and then I wasn't doing what I was supposed to, and I was on a job, and I was a nurse's aide, and they had a union, which was funny, but I didn't know they had a union, and this union actually was not fighting for the people that worked there. So I called the newspaper at the time when I was younger, and I was like, hey, we got a union, they're not doing anything, we're not getting paid. And I got them actually that job with Moore Lake. People that are there now, we got the best contract ever, and and people got to go to school, become nurses, because the way they had it before, we wasn't getting represented. The company was just saying they were union but not union. And so that kind of got me a lot motivated about what union could do. But it still wasn't, when you're young, you know, you really are centered on yourself. In reality, it was probably just a personal thing. Like, I always cared about people, and I always wanted to do better by people. And I think sometimes people don't realize that's what a union is for. It's like a lot of organizations, and I think we have to be better promoting organization to people so they don't have to start from the beginning of the struggle. So I kind of did that. And so I got into the building trades, and part of the thing about the building trade as an apprentice, you have to attend union meetings to receive raise. So I couldn't just, not actively involved in my union. That had to become it was a partnership. So if you didn't want to be involved in your union, then you wasn't getting a raise. And it was a nice raise. It was a nice raise. So I was an apprentice, so I went to school and I learned. And so through the thing, me going to union meetings, because I had to, and I only could miss the craziest thing, you could only miss 2 union meetings a year as an apprentice. And was even more deeper than that. It was like 2 of them were canceled. The summer one and Christmas time. So, it taught me, and then I learned that 30 people can take it or make different things in the union. And one of the things that they did to us as apprentices, when we first got in the building trades, we started off getting pension from that moment. But the credits were different. So what I learned is like the older people they were journeymen at the time, they stole the apprentices' pension credits and doubled their money and made their credits more expensive. So that started a little fight for me. I was like, hey, we still have a voice. So I kind of moved my way in there. And then when I as I became a journeyman, I got pregnant, and I said, well, I started working for UAW, Chrysler, Stellantis. They got about 5 different names. So I went in there. That's I will say that's local 1264 in Sterling Heights, Michigan. And I got involved because I was taught to get involved. I was skilled trades there. And I ran. As soon as I saw that the Constitution said I can run for something, I ran. It's funny because, the old saying, put a book in front of somebody, which you haven't created a book, but put a book in front of somebody, they won't read it. So I read books. I'm a lover of books. I've always loved books. And I learned through my journeyman as a plumber pipe fitter that you should get all your contract books, all your constitution, the bylaws, and I learned that. So I ran then I ran for the election committee. That was my first position because I said, I gotta have a year. So as soon as I got that year, I ran. I won overwhelmingly. And so I wanted to do more. So from there, I ran for skilled trades delegate. And first woman to get elected as a skilled trade delegate in our plant. It's funny because I want to tell this story because I remember the guy telling me, he said, it's going to be a runoff between me and you. I said, ain't going to be no runoff. I'm about to win. And he was like, you do know the guys don't look like you. I said, yeah, but they do know I do speak up for them. And if they don't come over here and vote, I said, it's going to be some consequences. And then I won that. I actually held that for about 10 years. That position allows you, so the UAW, you have a council is broke out, and that skilled trades is our chance to go and tell the international what we want in our contracts. Telling them, we want to be technology or the voices of your plant. So I was the voices of the skilled trade in my facility. So I got to sit on there. And then from there, I wanted to do more. I don't know what. But to help people, I ran for recording secretary. I had that position for 3 terms. And during that 3 terms, I learned every person's job. And I decided that I could do a lot more from another seat. So I ended up running for the president of there. We had 6,000 people, so I ended up, at the time, I think I got elected, was in about 3,500 people. So I got elected and won 3 terms. So I ended up being the president. Was the first woman of color and the first woman to get elected at that facility. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then, like I said, and then from there, as my journey took me, as the president, I got elected as a national negotiator, as the first time a woman. And actually was a very great honor because a lot of people, we don't realize that so the UAW, I'll give some history on this, especially if you're in the big 3. You get to change your contract every 4 years. And every 4 years, you may not like something today, but you need to write it down because 4 years is going to change if you put in demands. So we have the ability to put in demands as how we see the contract fits, what we want. So things you want change on your job, and the national negotiator, you sit on this council and then you represent your division. So I got to represent all the stamping division because they selected. So I was selected by my peers to be a national negotiator. And then as this national negotiator, I sit with the company at the time during national negotiations. And at the time we were pattern agreements. So one of us, the 3, so it's either going to be GM, Ford, or Stellantis, or Stellantis now, but Chrysler at the time, that gets to make the pattern. So the union would only negotiate with one of them at the time. And I was fortunate that we, Stellantis, Chrysler at the time, were the pattern. And one of the things that I realized that I saw that first off, a lot of people didn't put in a lot of demands, and don't realize that the day-to-day things that affect you, you need to do that. But the demands, and I say it on my podcast, I say it also, it's like I'm just Sabille sitting on Capitol Hill. If you don't, Schoolhouse Rock, you got, it's just kind of like that, right? But you need more, and it's funny because it's like political too, because you need a lot of people to put something in to actually weigh on the table. And then that bill, first it goes through your membership. And your membership got to pass this. People don't realize this. Your membership got to pass just that location's demands. So it's like, and then every location is going to bring in their demands. And we got this big old book like this. But it has to be passed first by the members at that location. And I'll just use my location. Say my location, they'll put a lot of demands in leadership, so your voice don't really get heard. But from there, the book can be this big, and then the council, which is the council consists of leadership within the plans. Then they get to make the decision what is important. So then that means some of those things get thrown on the floor, and then as they get thrown on the floor, that means your demands are getting thrown on the floor. That bill is hit the floor. It's pretty dead. Then from there, so now the elected national negotiators, which was me, and it was all the rest were men at the time, and mostly it is men. And I was successfully getting one demand passed through that happens to still today, was lactation rooms in the big three. So each one of the three had to follow that lead. But it was actually a fight because people don't realize that bill, I had to argue with men and actually compromise because, of course, there were things that they're going to want that their members had. So I tell everybody, put it, if you really, really believe in something, recruit others, explain to them. And when those demands come up higher, it's harder to throw it on the floor. It's harder for the leadership to throw your stuff away. And I think that it really made me see that, you know, I need to work on the whole membership. You know what I mean? I try myself, even as a local, you know, when I was a local president, I thrive myself on educating my membership. I did. It was just like, I truly believe education is so important because people don't realize that more, and you're going to hear this a lot, is people, a lot of people don't want people to be educated. They want to keep everybody dumb. And they want people to not understand because then they become a king. And it happens no matter if it's in a union, it's in a business, in a partnership. Doesn't matter. Our mentality is king. But guess what? Kings create problems. I'd rather have someone educated here to see the whole picture that they can, even if I am the leader right now, that I mean, if I go down, I got a whole bunch of leaders here. So we got to educate.
And we can all work together to make it an even stronger and more cohesive system.
Yes, and it helps. So I realized that a lot of our women, we're just not putting things in. Especially women in the trades also, because there is a lot of things that happen. So when we got this one member, so because I'm getting to my journey, how I got here, and I know it's a lot, but I was just so, I looked at my resume compared to those who were running, and I was like, I can do that. I can do, and you know, I had the passion to do it. And I think everybody needs to know, no matter what, if you want to do right by people, you should run. You should run and you know, educate yourself. So when we won the one member, one vote, which, you know, it allowed anyone to run for these positions. And I ain't gonna say this in a facetious way. I do think that people, see, if the flock is educated, anybody could hold this seat. But if the flock is not educated and a person become a king, you can ruin the union. And the union, the power of the union is the membership. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. All we're saying is we have the best workforce. We are the best people. And we fight for each other. And there are people who are maliciously, who wants to be kings within the organization, and that can destroy what so greatly. And so many of us would not be middle class had it not been for the union. So many of us with so many things would not be allowed to us. I can go to a city in Alabama that's people wonder why it's so hard to organize the Hyundai plant. Well, I know why it's so hard, because they're uneducated people, and it ain't a mean way. It's just that no one's have took the time and say it can be better. You know what I mean? But here in Michigan, the UAW and other unions have said that. So with that being said, I was at first trying to encouraging others to say, hey, I was fine being a king in my own, not really, I should say king. I was a big fish in my own pond because I had my people, and I knew my people did not want me to leave that position because I had so many people said, I wouldn't vote for you for that. But that was before I decided to run. I was trying to encourage others, and that someone said, my son, I should say someone, my son, because I was in the car and I was fussing, and all he knows is me being a union official. He don't even know nothing. He just found out I was a plumber probably maybe 3 years ago. He knew I fixed things around the house. He knew, oops, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. He knew I can build a lot of things, but he didn't officially know I held a union card. He didn't know I was a licensed plumber with the state of Michigan, and by the Department of Labor, I was a stinker. He didn't know that. He just tell people my mom was a union official. So he sat there, he was heard me fussing, he was in the car, he's like, well, why don't you run? You always talking about everybody else. I said, you know what, I'm gonna run. And I did, and I won. And I actually tell somebody, it's been the easiest transition of any job I've ever had, because everything I have done has prepared me for the role that I have. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it goes in line so much with what we were talking about during the book club.
Mm-hmm.
We're wrapping up self-empowerment, and we were talking about personal power. And you really know how to own your personal power, which is awesome. And not just for yourself, but to help so many others too.
Yes.
So 23 years with the UAW, over 23 years
Yep.
with the UAW.
Try.
And you've served so many roles, from recording secretary to skilled trades delegate to national negotiator. What personal values or inner compass guided you your consistent rise in leadership?
First God.
Amen.
You gotta put God. You gotta put faith first. You gotta put that first.
Amen.
And then I think the ability to want to really help people. I think one of the things, my grandma used to have footprints in the sand. The post, it was called a footprint. And I used to always, before she got sick and she passed away, and I used to see that poem all the time. And I used to come over, I used to say, I want that, you know. And I say, why? And it kept, the moral of that story was like, I'm there when you in need. So there's one footprint, and sometimes there'll be two, sometimes there'll be not. I think since I've been a little kid, I always believed that I got to help other people. And I think that was something that I always believed, that everyone was equal. Even when I was in school, I never hung with a certain group of people. I was the person who could move through all groups. Mm-hmm. I was the person really could be different, but didn't want to be different because I wanted to fit over here. So then I said, I got to figure out how to make everybody be different, but still work together. And I think with faith and ability, that knowing that, also from my father and my mother, the good upbringing that they have, because they did expose us to every part, everything. It wasn't, you know, I was one of the people, my father's like, there is nothing considered a black sport, a white sport, a black thing, a white thing. My father never ever told us when we was little, he just said it's a people thing. So when we were ice skating, people was like, what is ice skating? We went tobogganing, what is, you know, it's just like, to me, I didn't hear until I got older, like, well, who does that? Who swims? I'm like, what do you mean? But so I think my parents also is something that I believe in. I believe exposing everyone to things. But what I realized, though, everybody wants the same thing. End of the day, everyone wants the same thing. Everyone want to provide for their kids. Everyone want to be able to live life and be happy. No one wants to really be conflicts and stuff. And then when you see someone in need, all it just takes is a helping hand. And that's how it made my journey at work. It was like, when I was in the plant at skilled trades and people worked on the line and it would get hot in the plant, I knew that skilled trade, I had the ability to have a cart. I had the ability to freedom to do what I want to. I would go get popsicles and pass it down everyone on that line. I would make sure their fans in their area were working when we sitting over in skilled trade with 20 fans looking at me, and I'm just sitting here in a chair like this and 20 fans, but somebody's over there sweating and can't keep up, as hot as heck, and wait for a bell ring. So I realized that person was no different than me. No one is. So I think that drove the membership, people in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, passion for people.
Absolutely. Now, with the women's department, you are addressing complex issues around gender, race, and class. What drives your commitment to equity, and what do you see as the most urgent issues facing women in the labor movement today?
Ooh, that's a two-part.
Yes.
Because
equity and the biggest issues in the facing women today.
So the biggest issue is facing women today is still not being treated equally. Let's be clear on that. The biggest part is that women is 51% of the majority, but we don't act like we're the majority. We're still treated as that we're second class. But yet we're expected to, I would say the president that we currently have, and we talked about, our bodies, and someone's taking over our bodies. If a man ever had to have a period, any of the stress that we have of just being women, the boobs and everything, he will never want to tell us what to do with the body. He would never, ever want, he would be like, you know what, y'all got a whole lot more problems than me talking to y'all. And I think that that in itself, and I think that is some of the problems that we as women, we have to organize, and me having a women's department has been a marching order to women to understand that truth and power. The truth and power of understanding that why isn't daycare is not available? Knowing that it's not. Why are we not doing something for elder care? Why are we continuing to stop not movement forward? And I'm not saying this is the UAW, this is union, because most of these places are still handled by men. And what I have learned that when I have a facility that have a lot of women, they're putting a lot of things in their contracts that protect women. But let's be honest, most women have to pick between their kids and their elderly parents than their job. And we're expected to do that. FMLA has not went too far. This should be a paid thing. So these are all these issues. They're not just affecting women, they're affecting families too, because men are also doing it. But I think that this is some of the pressing issues as women. And then also, as women, we're always pressured with, can't be both. We can't be all. We can be all to ourselves. But when it comes to being an elected official, you can't be all, You can't want to be, disraise the world and make the world better. Women were built for this. I hate to say it. We're built to lead. Yes. That's our household. So I think those pressing issues that I really see that women need to know their power and know where they stand and start speaking up.
Absolutely.
I do.
So, as a woman of color in leadership, how has that shaped? How has your identity shaped your leadership style and mission within the UAW and beyond?
So, twofold. I would say actually, and I had to think about this for years. I only work with men. I didn't actually work with women. I actually only physically work with men. Like I had jobs that were, that were dominantly men. And I think first I had to reshape that I was what expected of a woman, because when I did run, I had to re-identify that women, things that I would let go, because when you go into skilled trades, you have to give yourself up to be accepted into that world, or you'll lose yourself. And I think as a woman of color is even more difficult because it is a club. The skill trades is a club. I mean, it's not like you're in a plant where you can go to another area. Your partner is you. And if you don't like me and everyone is your friend, that's going to be a problem, right? So I always encourage myself to be the best, and I ignored it. But I think once I got elected as the recording secretary, and I started hearing from the women, because they was like, oh, it's a woman over there that cares. They start bringing their problems to me. So I really haven't, and it's kind of bad to say, I really haven't established myself for being a woman of color and just being a woman yet. Because right now, I think I have women who did not like me when I was a younger woman, and it was mostly women of color. So I only thought of myself as a woman, because we all have the same problems, the same issues. So I haven't really dug down to say, this a black woman problem, this a white woman problem, this a Latino woman problem, this a woman problem, because we all have the same problem. I will say recently that I have to deal with the race of me being a woman of color with other women, and how I've been navigating it with that is that I've been teaching women that we have to, because people in this world, somehow people think magically we all get along. And magically we all lift each other up, and it just is super, super nice world here. And it's not. I'm not gonna lie. We say it's a sisterhood, but sometimes it was hard for me to actually have a sisterhood. I actually had probably more men that was actually lifting me up. And it ended up being, but that's bothersome. So, and the craziest thing, I created a series for my women's department to create Mean Girls, because Mean Girls still exist at my age. And I thought that should only exist when you're in high school. And so, what I have realized in my journey, it didn't matter what color I was. Mean girls are white, mean girls are Latino, mean girls are, it's great. I'm a black woman, and I hope a lot of other black girls see themselves as me, because that does make me feel good. Representation is always great, because you can see yourself. But as I led as a black woman, only by color, but I led as a woman first, and then I led as a member-driven person. So, do I bring my ancestors and all the things? No, I appreciate everything everyone done to get us here, and I continue to make sure we all grow and further. I continue to make sure I educate all people so it can be equal. So I think it's still an unbalance for me, because I think because you're going to bring your scars of your childhood with you. And anybody can say they don't, but you will. I think I let those go, because I said to myself, it's about helping everybody. It doesn't matter. So.
Very good. You made history again as the first woman and woman of color elected president of Local 1264. What were some defining moments or lessons from your time there that still influence how you lead today?
I had the ability to influence others. And what I would tell people, learn each person, because every person at that facility, we all continue to get elected and re-elected, and that's because they believed in what I told them. So, and they were all men. So I think in my time in leading there, like I said, I walked the floor, I listened to people, and I will always say this: if you make a mistake, own up to it. I would say this, any leader, you're not gonna be right. You're not perfect. No one's perfect. This job requires you to be a teacher, a doctor, a psychiatrist. You name it. People expect that. I didn't go to school for none of that.
But you have to be it all.
You have to be it all. And I think what I learned from my leadership, because people call me all the time for 1264, and I miss them. What I learned is that we can grow together. What I learned is that encouraging people to run and get involved, and don't be scared of making mistakes, and it's on to it. I mean, you're not gonna know all the right answers. I'm new to the job that I'm in, and I have made mistakes and probably continue to make mistakes. But I can tell you, each term you get better and you learn. Because I can tell you right now, as the president by my last term, I knew the problems in the plant before they got across the street. I was over there resolving it. So we have union meetings. Our union meetings turned into, it went from a bunch of people fussing to a bunch of people like, oh, I'm reading off their problems. I'm addressing the problems. So I think just run, just get involved. I don't care if even it's union, get involved.
I love your authenticity, because so many times we're trying to hide, what we feel are things that are mistakes, or something that, because a lot of times people are vulnerable. Like you said, it's mean girls, it's mean men, and they're coming for those mistakes. But those are the best lessons. We learn from those mistakes so that we can grow and become better, and we can be examples for other people. Don't make these mistakes.
Yes.
This is how you do it the right way.
And that's true. That's why you got to learn from your mistakes, but you're going to make mistakes. If you're perfect, then you're not doing anything. You ain't doing anything. And if you ain't doing anything, and somebody, I used to say this, you might as well be dead. Because if you're not existing and living in the world and helping people and making mistakes, you're just not living.
There is no successful person that has not made mistakes.
True.
That when they go for something else, they learn how to do it better, because I remember that roadblock, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Or even like we hear millionaires where they lose it and then they get it all back again.
Yes.
They learn the lesson.
They learned the lesson.
So in 2015 to 2019, you were a national negotiator for Stellantis. How did you prepare for such a high stakes role, and what did you learn about advocating for the needs of thousands?
I kind of talked about it, but you know what? It was the moment that I got elected into that, I would actually walk the plant and I would say, what is your concerns? But I would say that prior to that, anytime I realized we can change our contract every 4 years, and I have to live in what we, because the majority votes, so people don't realize the majority is the majority. Whatever happens, they're gonna pass the contract. So maybe one of my demands didn't make it. It didn't make the degree. But what I did learn, like things on the floor that I saw, I used to keep a book, and I used to tell my stewards and the chairperson and everybody, I said, write it down, because we're gonna put it in. We're gonna put a demand in. So I would write things down that I would see. Like I was like, okay, I think the line speed might be too fast, or some safety issues. Anything that I seen that I couldn't resolve on grievances. When you lose a grievance because the company gonna say it's in your contract, you had a right. What I've learned is if you don't put things in your contract and say as far as harassment, guess what? You go to a judge just because you're union, the judge gonna say, as union members, you find out, he said you had the right. A person who has a non-union has a better chance in front of a judge than a person who has a union, because the judge is going to say, you had the right to put something in your contract regarding this issue. So during that, and like I said, I love to read and I love to talk to people. So I would talk to other people, past negotiators, and be on there to try to understand what it would mean, what would be my role and what would my position. And I mean, there were growths in that too, I will say that, because again, everyone has an ulterior motive sometimes, and sometimes they don't mean the best. But I think the more demands that are in, it's harder for someone to put their position into the contracts. So yeah.
And just to give people an idea, because I know what it means, UAW Region 1. Not everybody knows what that means. Can you tell us how many communities, how many workers that you represent, how many retirees that you represent?
So currently I have like 50 plus active workers, and we're organizing more. So if you want to be a union member, UAW member, you come with Region 1. And
that's employees. How many workers do you represent overall?
100,000. So I got 50,000, about 50 plus retirees. So it's like 150 give or take. And I also have Canada. So I have like 8 counties in Michigan. Actually, Region 1 is like the biggest just in our little area. And Canada. I have Canada too.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. So what do you believe young people, especially young women, need to know about labor leadership and knowing their own worth in today's world?
Ooh. You know what I say? Believe in yourself. Believe it, like you said in your book. I mean, look, I don't have to plug your book, but they need to read that because you have a lot of great activities improving yourself. Know that you're never going to be perfect, right? But write things down. I think the young lady earlier, I heard her, she said it was the questions that you asked during the book club. And I'm trying to remember what you asked her. But it was like, I love how she said you can't have the self-doubts. You got to get rid of the hater. You got to get rid of the noise. You got to get rid of people over-talking you and putting you down or putting you in that box. That's first off. You know, you have to love yourself before you expect others to love you. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it's not very hard. It's not. And if whatever you have that caused you to not like yourself, go get some help for that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, you know, self-improvement is always first because you're gonna make your kids better, you're gonna make your family better, you're gonna pick better partners. Because what I tell people, hurt people pick bad partners. People who don't know themselves pick bad partners. And then say it's someone else's fault when you don't know yourself. You know, I would start there first because stop blaming everyone. That was the first thing. You have to do that. And then get involved. And I would say this, if you're in Region 1, we have a lot of council. We have women's council, we have skilled trades council, we have chaplaincy council, we have the men's council, we have, we got a lot of them. I can't name them all, but it's still come and get involved in it. Bring your kids if it's after work. We make sure to try to feed you. It's not, you know, but learn your job. Here's the thing. My pastor was telling me, you can miss Sunday, go to your union meeting. Go to one, because you need to know about your job, because he said you can't pay no tithes if you ain't got no job. So learn about your job, but also be prepared if your job is just above broke. So it doesn't matter if it's a good union job, but it's job just above broke. So you got to know your worth and know that you can use that money on your job and create more generational wealth. So I think you got to educate yourself. This is for everyone. And run for office if you want to run for office. And get prepared. And don't let nobody tell you it ain't for you.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, you can't let them do that.
How do you balance the honoring the rich legacy of the labor movement while also pushing for innovation and progress in a rapidly changing workplace?
Well, you know what? I laugh to say that it's good that I am at Region 1. And having the ability to be the Region 1 director, I control the destiny in Region 1. How I'm like someone, the legacy more at the Solidarity House is a little different because you're dealing with 600 employees within the Solidarity House, and it's different things. But at Region 1, it gives me autonomous to create the growth. And as the members bring things to us, I'm willing to change. Like we're gonna do AI training because guess what? I totally believe that AI is the future. So we're gonna have class, so I'm teaching my staff first to learn what AI means. And then it's, again, you know, to be creative. So I still have a legacy, but the thing is, I think my role is to truly educate the ones who represent the people on the floor. So I love to train all my grievance handlers because they're the ones our members see day to day. People don't realize that. And a lot of times we can get elected and have zero experience. And once you're put into that position, I do want to say this. I think people who are grievance handlers, they need to read what it actually say, what their job is to educate. But what happens is they end up dealing with a lot of grievances. and they don't know how to tell people this is not a grievable issue. So it becomes the doctor, the lawyer, you can't come to work, you know, all the excuses. And then you start making your priority more about getting elected than more about the whole institution of what it means to educate, to understand what this organization has done. So I guess my balance is that I'm educating those who are new, because we have had facilities that parents never been in a union. So a lot of people don't even understand what the union has done for them. So you still have new people who come in and say, hey, what has the union done for me today? Or don't even know that bathroom breaks are negotiated. Gloves are negotiated. See, when you come into a facility that's so entitled, you don't realize that those were negotiated items. So that's the legacy that I have to teach, and then I also have to teach where they're at, because I can't teach where they're not at. And that's the thing about it. I think, and I hate to hear when somebody say, well, they ain't listening. Well, they ain't listening because you ain't saying how they wanted to be heard. And I got this group of, no, we got to figure out how together we all listen, right? So I got to teach this one in the middle, like, this is our history. This is what gave us these great contracts that we just got, where we're going to be making $40 an hour to work on a line. You're going to be making $50 in skilled trades when someone's giving you this money. So, you know, it's not a gimme. We had to fight the company for this, you know, but I think that's not the mindset, right? I get them a job in the big three, I don't have to worry. No, that was negotiated. Picnic tables could be negotiated. Bathroom breaks, here's the thing, people didn't know this, that breaks in general is only for children, labor laws. It ain't nowhere, we in the mindset, if I work 4 hours, I'm supposed to get a break. No, you don't. That's not, that was negotiated.
Right.
They don't know that. But
Right.
you get what I'm saying? But if I get elected, I don't know.
And people don't know how important it is
to have a union,
to have a union so that the union can negotiate those things for you. Thank God I came from a strong union family. My mom was UAW. She worked for the state.
See?
And today the postal workers are having their picnic. And I used to go to those growing up because my grandfather was the engineer for the postal workers. But it is important to understand those values and pass those values on.
And that's what you got to continue to teach it. But if you don't teach where they're at, they're not going to hear it. Here's the thing. Everyone got a phone. You know, the UAW or any organization has to move differently. Or they'll die, or people will create new wheels to something that's already been created. It's like, why are you making us work harder? But I'm working harder because I don't know what's available to me. And you will see people who will fight the union within don't understand what they have. You understand what I'm saying? So I think the biggest thing is if you don't teach them, we're gonna be in bad shape.
That's so true. You mentioned a few minutes ago about doubt, and I spoke on how we're talking about self-empowerment right now. What have you discovered about yourself over the years during moments of adversity or doubt? Because we all face adversity and doubt, and you talked about some of the adversity. What have you discovered about yourself? What
I discovered, I have mentors. I have people that I have to go and talk to. You know, other people it may be a psychologist, but for me, I have people who been in this position, and most of them been men, because there haven't been a lot of women in this positions, so it's been difficult to find another woman. But I think when I get self-doubt, it will be my mentors or people who've been in a position of power, who's always or a retiree, that always encourage me to continue to go, right? You always I have a self-doubt of a lot of times, you know, because that's just it's in your mind, and you have to be uplifted sometimes. Sometimes I walk past mirrors, you're the baddest bitch, you're the baddest bitch. You know, I have to encourage myself. Sometimes I literally have to walk that to get that self-confidence.
Yes.
But a lot of times it's having good mentors. Wanda Butler, she's the woman who had that job, because she's seen in me what I didn't see in myself. Because I was in the Plan of Skilled Trades. Yeah, I ran for the election committee, and I was doing, you know, I would take her minutes or go to union meetings, and I write everything down, I go pass it in the plant, post it around the plant, stand at the door. But I just did it. I didn't even know it consists of a role in the title. I didn't realize. I was just like, I want them to know. And so she saw me. She's like, you need to run for recording secretary. I'm about to retire. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm over here skilled trade sitting in shit that look like work. And but she was one of the mentors. Bobby Stuglin, he was the president. He had 30, she probably had about 40 years been elected. And he was the president when I was the recording secretary. And he allowed me to into the world of being the president of things without actually me being that job, right? But anytime I have some conflict or something, it's the mentor. It's that you gotta have your friends that your friends, but you gotta have a mentor. Yeah. Somebody can get you back on. So whenever you have self-doubt, and you gotta believe that person is have your best interest. I'm gonna say that too, because sometimes we don't want to talk to people because we don't want people to have an opinion of us. I guess I ain't got so old. I don't care what your opinion of me, because I ain't perfect. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't perfect. I am not perfect. I tell somebody gonna be always prettier than me. Somebody our hair gonna be longer than me. Somebody gonna be I ain't trying to be in that world. I'm just like, so the people that I talk to, and I think Oprah said, if you got a problem with trying to make me better, then you ain't a friend. I only want people who got my best interest, and that's the person that you need to make your mentor. And you have plenty of mentors, for different occasions, for different things. And I think that's where, whenever I get that self-doubt, there are people, and I have met a lot of nice retirees. There used to be some high elected officials that come to my retirees now, and they'll call me if they see me doing. I put something on Facebook the other day. They gonna call me like, "Let me talk to you." I'm like, "What?" They was like, "Nah, that ain't," But and I listen to them because and because that's self-doubt sometimes. You like, do I want to rage out? But you gotta have that, I guess.
It's so important to have good counsel.
Yes.
And I don't care, how successful you become. People think, I reach a certain place or people don't want to listen to other people, but you have to have good counsel. Even a pastor needs a pastor.
There you go.
So you have to have good.
And what Gail Perry Mason said some on our show was really cool. She said you need a board of directors, your own board of directors. She's like, she said you need this one on your team, you need a accountant, that's your team. Yeah. Those are your people, so those are the ones helping you with your self-doubt.
Yeah. With all the hats that you wear, how do you stay aligned without burning out? You do a lot. You represent a lot of people.
I do. And I gotta get that back, because I'm not gonna lie, I ain't got that balance yet. I still have not. I haven't got burnt out because I keep believing that I want to help, right? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I may be burnt out, but I haven't physically felt that. But every once in a while, I do take a second to myself and regroup. I just take a moment for myself. But I'm not gonna lie, that is what, if you're really passionate about something and you really believe in something, you don't get burnt out. Because you believe that, right? It's just your drive. It's my drive. So I haven't been able to.
Your body can get burnt out.
I do. I've been work. I got back in work. I used to be a strong workout. I was a meal prepper, planner, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, where that girl going? And I'm trying to get back to her. And I think in my second term I will, because I'm new to the job I'm in now, so I have to find that balance of. Because when I was the president, I did find my balance, because again, I was like, okay, I got my balance. But I'm new to where it's at, and I want to learn the people within my region. I want to reach the people in my region. I want to know that let them know that I am here for them. And then I think that in my second term, because again, it's like buying a new house and you don't know every closet, you don't know where stuff at, you don't have the organization skill because it's a new house. It's so I'm a new elected official in a new job. It was the easiest job, I said, to come into the role, but I still gotta learn the role and make it me. So I haven't made the role all me. I'm almost there, I can say that. But then I think in the second term, because I'm a firm believer, anybody can get elected. Anybody can get elected. But getting reelected requires a different skill set, because now you got to answer to your mistakes that you made, and people are going to judge you on you and not on something that you promised. And there's some of the promises that you make that may not come true. So they're going to judge you on that. So I think, have I got a balance right now? Nope, I'm not going to lie. But I think I have my second term.
We need you to pour into you like you pour into others, so you're not pouring from it.
I do. I read. I do meditate, but I'm getting closer to working out. I think I walked about 5 times this month. We are still in June, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's been raining too much, but yeah, I'm working that balance. But my son will say this. He played basketball and he tell everybody, he said she was always on the phone. And I realized that part because he was like, he knew how many times I was on the phone, but he was supposed to be out there making baskets. I'm like, he said, you need to stay off the phone, but he knew that. So, and I do need to have my friends, and I do have some real close friends. They'll call and check on me and stuff, which I really love because they be like, we ain't talk about work. My best friend who works in the plant, we never talk about work. And when people call her, they be like, she ain't tell you. She's like, listen, y'all, I'm not going to believe. We never talk about, there's never no discussion. It could be a layoff, and she could be a part of the layoff. We don't even talk about it because it's like, we don't want to talk about work. She don't want me to talk about work. Yeah, so that's good, yeah.
And I do hear you saying that you know the tools, and you have the tools, you meditate, you read,
yes.
you walk. So it's just finding that balance to incorporate it more.
Need to read your book some more because you have some activities in there.
Thank you. So how do you define success today? Has that definition evolved over the course of your career? Is success different for you today than it was yesterday?
Nah, you know what? No, it's not. I think each step of my life is just that there are people who always come back to me and say, I appreciate what you've done for me. So that's been my success. And having is just people to this day. I have over 6,000 contacts in my phone. Like every time I go to get a new phone, they're like, oh my God, who has this many contacts? I think that's what the success is. Success is helping people and for them to come back and say, thank you. So I can't really say it's been different. It's just each one has given me the ability to reach more people. I would say that. Each platform has given me that.
Love it. What role does self-awareness play in building confidence and leadership and strength?
What role? Confidence and strength is built on surrounding yourself with good people. People who can tell you you're wrong. Because if you don't surround yourself with people who don't tell you you're wrong, that's not building no confidence. That's building self-doubt. I'll be honest. That's building someone that can't answer to other people. So building a good team around you. I mean, that empowers me to be more powerful because the people that I put around me who are truly have my back and help me get in the roles that I am is telling me when I'm right and when I'm wrong. Or, you know, that's what I would say.
We talked a little bit about the barriers. What would you say to young women who want to lead but they feel discouraged because of systemic barriers?
Just do it. You built for this stuff. I honestly, you know what? It's someone else's self-doubt that's been put into you. Actually, as a little girl, we put into little girl self-doubts. We put in you from the moment a woman has been born a woman, she's been put self-doubt in there. Because there is no, and other women put self-doubts in us too. Because, you know, it's like, why are we comparing ourselves to someone else? Why are we comparing it to this? You can't just be you. You know, so if your roadblock, first of all, is yourself, to be honest, or someone gonna always say you're not ready. Someone always gonna say you're not ready, but you're ready. So your roadblock, I would tell each one, educate yourself, go as many trainings as you can, have the knowledge, get rid of self-doubt again. We have so many, we have education, we have U of M studies, we have Wayne State studies, we have all of them. Just educate yourself, attend union meetings. Don't jump out there and run for something you have no clue. I'm not gonna say that. But prepare yourself for the role you want. Mm-hmm. Own the role you want. Mm-hmm. Do it like if it's the guy that you want. You know what I mean? If you want that guy, do the work. You know what I mean? Or make him work for you. Mm-hmm. But vice versa, don't have the self-doubt and say, because you know how many times that we talk ourselves out of something. We won't talk ourselves out of buying a bag, though. We won't talk ourselves of buying them extra shoes, but we're going to talk ourselves of success. Why did we do that?
Now, I do talk myself out of those things, but I have a great mentor, like you said, Gil Perry Mason. So I can talk myself out of those bags and shoes.
I'm gonna be honest. She kind of broke me down when she said she ain't never owned a designer bag. I was like, and she was like, I don't buy it. She took her wedding dress. It was her prom dress. She went to the prom 5 times, and it was a wedding dress, 5 proms, and her debutante dress. The same dress, y'all. Same dress. She said she don't spend that money on extra stuff. So you're right. But again, it's our self-doubt, right?
Yeah.
We talk ourselves out of things, especially women. We don't talk ourselves out of buying those expensive things, but we talk ourselves of things that we need for ourselves. We talk ourselves of our self-doubt. We will, because our girlfriends are built that way too. Like, you sure that's what you want to do? They're going to talk about you. They're going to talk about your shoes. They're going to talk about you. Because when I ran for this position, and it's funny, because I didn't have, like you said, I need to have some self-balance. I didn't have time to get my nails done, hair done, feet done, because I was campaigning. And I can still remember someone say, look at her toes. And I'm like, you worry about what my toes look like? And instead of what I can do for you, but it's just, and it was only from the women, because that's who I got the most resistance. And I realized that we don't see ourselves. So I think for me, for them to see me and be as real as I am, then you can be me. Ain't nothing special about me. There's nothing special about me that everyone have the same thing. There's nothing special. There's no magic. I am who I am, and you are you.
Invested in yourself, and I think that's really a big part of the point. Whether it's financial investment, whether it's skills, whether it's talent, you keep investing in yourself. Yes.
Perfect thing to say. Keep investing in yourself and believing in yourself. And don't let people self-doubt you.
Looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to leave for the labor movement? And what are your hopes for the next generation of union leaders?
And as I stated, I would say, I will hopefully that somebody that I mentor will be the president of the UAW. Yes, that's what I hope. And I'm hoping that they prepare themselves and they doing the right thing. That would be my legacy. My legacy is that they don't forget the retirees that paved the way. They don't forget those who are, sacrificed so much for what they have. Because that's the thing, we tend to be short memory now. And we need to build our history. We have to build our history. And one of the things I will say this, the UAW was really bad at keeping its history. And we need to gather it before they get too old to continue to make sure. So I don't want to make sure they're ready, because we need the UAW. We need unions, to be honest. So that's what I hope.
Institutional knowledge is so important, and it erodes, and it does cause so many issues.
Oh, yes.
That's a good way to think ahead, thinking about preserving
what we have and making sure they can grow from it.
Yes. And building that next leader. I love it.
Next leader. Like this young little lady here. Because you know what I do realize? When they're that little, it's a heartfelt, because when I have somebody who was little and they come to me and they say, my mom and dad took me to my first union meeting, and they be running for office. I think the other day they were giving a bike giveaway, and this young lady came up to me and she was like, I am so proud to be a union member. And we used to give away, we used to adopt families at my old location. And one of the young ladies, she got in a union shop and she sent us a card. She said, I organized my place because I told them what the UAW done for me and my family. And that's what it's about too. That's building that legacy of people. And we got to keep bringing our kids and our grandkids in. And they're going to be the next leaders.
Yes. Yes. So where can our audience learn more about you, your work, or get involved in the mission of the UAW's, even the women's department?
So we got UAWwomen's.org. That's the first one. We also do Voices of Region 1 is a podcast. We also have a Facebook page for that. We have Region 1 Facebook page. And then we have UAWregion1.org where you can get information on our website too. Yep.
Perfect. What message would you like to leave with our listeners, especially those on their own journey to self-empowerment?
If you need help, go get help. If you need a mentor, find you a mentor. And on your journey through life, know that you're never going to be perfect. And someone's always worse off than you are today. So enjoy the moment, sit in the moment, enjoy who you are. Because tomorrow is not a promise to anyone. So where you at today, it's a blessing.
Amen. And finally, what is your personal mantra or affirmation that keeps you grounded and motivated to thrive and rise?
Well, one of my most motivation, I go to every mirror and I say, you're beautiful, you're pretty, and you're worthy. Every mirror in my house every morning, I get up and I say that. And I was like, ain't nobody better than you. So that's one of my biggest aspirations. And I say, I let it be known because it helps me to walk into the room with the self-confidence that I need. Because again, the self-doubt will come in. But the moment that you say that and you say it enough times, you believe it.
Yeah.
And so it's like every time I walk in the room, I'm like, I don't care who in the room. Beyonce could be in the room. I still think I'm Beyonce.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
As we continue our journey of growth and connection, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors who make this podcast possible. After this brief break, we'll return to address questions from our audience. We'll be right back.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call CarShield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through CarShield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is gonna break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through CarShield.
Best of all, you'll get access to CarShield's concierge service, who can even help you find a mechanic near you.
They're notifying the family.
Poor guy, he doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called CarShield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
CarShield has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and was voted America's most trusted auto protection company. It's time to call CarShield now. Call 800-636-1039.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-588-0324. That's 877-588-0324. Again, 877-588-0324.
Huh, why would anybody do that?
If you're paying high interest rates on your credit cards, you're burning money. We're Consolidated Credit, and we've been helping Americans for over 30 years. Let us work with your creditors to reduce your total payments by up to 50%. Lower your high interest rate credit cards and stop juggling multiple payments. We help you pay down your debt faster than you can on your own, all while saving you thousands in interest charges. Consolidate your credit card bills into one affordable payment today. You don't have to be good with money, because we are. Call 855-732-6487 for a free consultation. 855-732-6487. Call Consolidated Credit today. That's 855-732-6487.
People ask all the time, Who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines, and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now.
Call 855-662-0261. That's 855-662-0261. Again, 855-662-0261.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that brief break. Now it's time to dive back into the conversation. We're going to take some questions from our live audience, and we're excited to hear your thoughts. Let's get started with our first questions from the audience. Who's ready to ask the next big question?
I'm very impressed by how you're grounded with people and advocating for others and not just putting yourself out in front. With that, I know that the UAW has endorsed Reverend Solomon for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get people out to support someone with his vision, similar to your vision, in the sense of trying to help people versus these corporations?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Number one, and part of that question is, only 19% of the vote came out in the last election.
Mm-hmm.
How can we stimulate 20% to get him over that threshold?
Great question. So we're going to set up a meeting also with the Kinlock team, which we have, because I will start off like this. The members decided to pick. It wasn't I as a director, it was the membership. And people don't know that listen to this podcast. Our membership interviewed all the candidates, and he was the highest vote getter among the members that interviewed him. So we allowed the membership to, and we had sat down, and I have personally had a conversation with him. And you're correct. We have explained it, and this goes back to some history. And this is, as black people, you hear this a lot, like, why should a pastor be involved in politics? When I was little, and I'm from Flint, Michigan, a pastor was in politics, and it was not unheard of because you could not separate the two. He's still a man. And it's amazing that you still hear people thinking that he's a pastor, that he doesn't care. He has all the right power to do better by the city. That's all he wants, right? So we're working with a plan. We're gonna have some members doing some phone calls and getting people out involved, some get out to vote. And we're actually gonna start that probably Monday, and then sit down with his team. And we want to get the people out. But you're correct. That's a bigger problem. Because when only 18%, and I'm gonna be honest, even my election, only 10% of our membership cared enough to turn in a ballot that was at their house. So getting people back engaged is a whole workforce in itself. And we're gonna do it. We're gonna win this, and we're gonna put the boots on ground and hit the ground. And I think he got the great message. But again, getting those who never vote but are registered to vote to realize that it's important to vote in that election. Because I did look at where it says the president, more people voted for the president election, and each time it went down, right? But people got to understand, the city council, your mayor, these are, and the school board people, these people are dealing with your day-to-day life. I hate to say, what Trump doing ain't gonna affect you on your day-to-day life. It may affect you. What the governor is doing is not gonna affect, but what your mayor and your city council can change your life, especially the school board. You know what I mean? And we got to get back to the mindset, running for school board and being on the school board. And we got to get in the mindset of saying, we got to vote. You know, ancestors, people died for us to vote. But you know what I hear so often? Well, what you gonna do for me? And I hear it in my position, what you gonna do for me? But you know what? It's not what I'm gonna do for you. It's what you're gonna do for yourself. And you gotta vote. And we got to. And we're working on it with Ken Lock's team, though.
So the question is, why do people not want to vote? Does it get back to what FDR said? You know, in his last State of the Union address, he addresses this. He says if you have people who are struggling every day just to live, they do not see the need to vote.
Yeah.
And the first Bill of Rights says a man should be able to take care of his family and have recreation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have time to think, government does whatever they want, and you don't care because you're in the struggle just to live.
So we need more people like you. We need more boots on grounds having this conversation with our neighbor. Because again, you used to have your family, you know what? And that's why I say you can't quit trying. We have to meet them where they're at. You have to meet people where they're at. Because you know what? I hear it all the time. It says, well, nothing's going to happen. Well, it is going to happen. But again, we don't sit down with our kids. You're correct what FDR said. We're so busy, we don't got time to raise our kids, to have these real conversations. But this is by design also, by corporate greed, to keep us blind to what we actually really need. And I always hear we're voting against our own best interests. Why? But again, that's all about education. That's all about this self-doubt like she's talking about. This self-doubt that that's not going to happen to me. That self-doubt is this, or it's just a popularity. It's not. It's really about serious. And I don't know how to fix it, but I've been damn sure I ain't going to stop trying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question. Stephanie Mickens, teacher for DPSCD. Yes, I am involved in the union. I just want to say thank you for coming. I truly enjoyed this session.
Thank you.
And you touched on a lot of things about on your journey as being the leader that you are right now. And it kind of goes back with his question, but have you ever considered running for an office like me, like to get involved with that, out of UAW, to get involved in that realm of politics? Because it seems like you have have it to woo and win over and believe and work for the people.
Now that's funny. I took my first political class. I was working at the Y when I was in high school. It was like a volunteer thing. And I had $75. They had women in politics. I went and signed up for that. So I was like, and I actually wanted to be a lobbyist. To be totally honest, I wanted to be a lobbyist. And that was my desire, to be a lobbyist. Because that person actually who changed a lot of policy. And I worked on a couple campaigns, and then of course, but I needed money because I went to college, and I was doing teenage stuff at the time. So Mom was like, "You need to get a job because I'm not going to continue paying you this out here partying." And so, have I thought about maybe when I retire? But right now, me running for office is not as important. You know, the citywide is making sure it gives somebody like Pastor Kenlock or different politicians. First, we got to hold them accountable. Amen. That's our first problem. That's our first problem. We're not holding people accountable. So, you know, I want to be held accountable. And we got to start holding people accountable because that's why people are not voting, because we're not holding them accountable. And then,
I think people are not voting because people are not voting because they're misinformed, ill-informed, intimidated, very discouraged, and we have to kind of shake that. Thank you. Yeah, really shake the people and say, this is for you. This is your future.
So I got a question for you. This is the thing. How do you say this is for someone without feeling threatening, intimidating, and bullying when you're trying to show them the best?
Well, as an educator, I like to draw pictures.
Okay.
So this is you, and this is them. And that try to weigh the pros and the cons. And something oftentimes with the scenario, so they can see themselves in the problem as well as the solution.
Is it successful?
Yes, it's very successful. Those are some of my most memorable lessons.
So we need to expand on that, right? Because you actually showed a plan of how to do it. So basically we need to expand that to a bigger movement. Because like I said, the thing is everything is right now got to be a movement. If we don't realize that the movement and moment of time is now more than anything, it's going to be scary.
Right. And I'll just give you a perfect example with the block situation. One thing that we did on our block, instead of calling out to the city, this was years ago, our neighbors got out, we saw that this was a vacant lot, we cleaned it up ourselves because we were tired of seeing the dumping and the growing of the weeds. And I think that's what people need to see. You put people in position, but you also have to work yourself.
That's it. And that's true. And that's, I think people got to see. And that's why I believe is I'm going to work as hard as my members too. But see, when you're not held accountable, you're not going to work as hard.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
I think that's all for the questions. But I do want to elaborate a little bit. I want to give both of you guys your kudos. That's what I'm giving you. I see a lot of myself in you, and I see a lot of myself in you. And just to see older Black women that literally went through a lot of things, were pushed on, and me being where I'm at right now, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
And I thank you for this podcast. I thank you for your book. Just thank you overall. But yeah, I just want to give you your kudos because I was supposed to last but I'm giving you your kudos. I love you, Mama T, and I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate the candles you made me.
They were pretty candles.
Thank you. My minty is better than yours. I did want to expound upon the voting component. When I ran for Congress for CD10, a lot of it was educating voters because so many people did not want to be a part of the process because they didn't see themselves in the process. So they wanted to know, how does this affect me?
Yes.
They were ready to walk off till I stopped them and said, hey, what do you think about the cost of rent? Do you like the cost of rent? No. What do you think about the inflation, the cost of food, the cost of gas? Then they start thinking about, oh, wait a minute, yeah, it does affect me. I said, because who you put in office affects all of that. It affects your rent, it affects your gas, it affects food, it affects the price of clothing and the price of everything. If you hit a pothole, who's in office? If you get a speeding ticket and you have to go before a judge, that judge is elected.
Yes, he is.
So do you like the outcome of what happened in court, how you were treated in court, how other people have been treated in court? You have to think about who you're putting in office, and again, like you said, hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable.
Do we have any other questions?
I kind of did after what you just said. How do we get to people to get them to recognize it's not their fault? People are feeling so trapped. You got to be able to say it's not your fault. The system's against you.
Yes.
Getting back to FDR, he created those 8 Bill of Rights to make it work.
Yes.
And the very thing you're talking about is that minimum wage. That minimum wage is to take you above poverty, to take you and give you the dignity and respect of taking care of your family.
Yes.
But we've allowed the propaganda to believe that we can't do it.
Yes.
Well, we can do it because back in his day it was Park Avenue, but now we have Wall Street, right? So his plan was the least you should be getting in Social Security ought to be taking you above minimum wage. So the least check that anyone should be getting right now should be something like $4,000 a month. Now you say that's incredible, that it can't work. Yes, it will. If this dollar amount was minimum wage, now when I started, minimum wage was $1.50. With that, I could buy a car, go to school, save a little bit, and afford insurance, because the cards weren't stacked against the worker. What that money would be today is like $23 an hour. And if you had that system going, do you know Social Security would not have any problems? And if we had Medicare for all, that's another trust fund that would be like Social Security. The money would be defined as a trust fund. These wealthy people, use a different word, would not be able to take our healthcare dollars that we pay into and take it for their personal profit.
That's right.
And create the kind of dissent and hatred in the society that causes one man to go shoot one down on the street
That's right.
in New York City.
That's right.
The violence is created by the society.
Yes.
And we know from history, if we look at Bill Clinton, when he put people to work. Now, of course, he did not do it by raising the minimum wage, but what did he do? He turned around and he put people to work. And if you went to work, you didn't have to worry about daycare.
Yep.
You didn't have to worry about rent. You didn't have to worry about food. So actually, he kind of gave you a minimum wage through the back door. But if you look at the FBI statistic, crime came down in every area. The only thing that went up was birth rate. And you know why? Because people felt comfortable about bringing people into the world.
Yes.
That's what we've lost. We don't worry about what's good for us or what's good for the society. And if you put these things together, we could have a bomb of a society.
Yeah.
Well, the administration, just to quickly expound, the administration is focused on making, the old America again. But one of the great things about the old America was the American dream, where you could go to work, you could have a savings, you could use money and have investments. Now you're going to work and then you're paying your bills. And the average American can't keep up with their bills because inflation is so high. And that's the issue. So we need to keep educating people. We need to keep working together and not let them polarize us. That's what we need to focus on. So, but I want to thank everybody for coming out. We'll continue some of this conversation offline, but thank you for joining us in this episode as well for Thrive and Rise with Tiffany. We hope today's discussion has inspired you to grow, connect, and thrive in your personal and professional life. To further your journey of self-discovery and empowerment, we invite you to explore the Know Thyself book series, designed to deepen your understanding of self-awareness and growth. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continue to provide valuable content. Stay connected with our community for more empowering episodes. And as always, keep thriving with Tiffany.